Talk Podcast with our hosts, Dan and John. The divide is just so great, and people have lost the basic skills of courtesy and respect and tolerance that you just can't have a sincere debate without people getting mad, and then they just start throwing talking points because that's all they can think of. And then after they run out of those, and they just turn on a personal attack, accusing
correct
this kind of person or that kind of person. It's just like, no, you are avoiding the issue. The issue here is, we're going to talk. For example, we're going to talk about it. We're paying too much for gas tax. I'm just throwing that out there. They don't want to focus on how to cut taxes on gas, for example. And it just, they may say a few things about that, and then all of a sudden the talking points come out. You guys only like to do things this way, while you guys do it the other way because you don't like these folks, or these folks don't like you. That's why they want to do things our way. And this sounds very confusing, but that's kind of what I'm trying to drive the point.
You bring up gas tax, and you've got one group that's saying, we need to lower the taxes. That's not the root cause of the problem. The root cause of the problem is the supply and demand issue and the price that we're paying for crude, where at one point we were exporting oil, and I'm talking within the last 5 years, and now we are importing our oil again and actually using our reserves to try to keep the cost low, which is a Band-Aid on something that needs to be amputated. Because you have a certain agenda by certain parties that want to do away completely with oil and fossil fuels and all that kind of stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. I think there should be alternative forms of energy that should be explored. But, okay, let's say we stop importing oil tomorrow. What's going to happen in 30 days and 60 days? What are they going to use? Toothbrushes, cosmetics, medicines, packaging. There's so much used in the byproduct from oil alone that it would completely crash our economy in about 2 seconds.
From what little chemistry I understand about crude oil, it's like the percentage of what it's actually, how much of it's used, it's like nearly like 90, in the high 90s. There's very little that's wasted. Our chemistry, correct, our knowledge of material science is so good. We've extracted everything we can from that barrel of oil.
And they've been doing it since the beginning of when they were doing, when they first started utilizing what they can do. Gasoline to them was a waste. They were literally, that's why we had issues, right?
Yeah.
They were literally just dumping this stuff out because they didn't have a use for it. And this was prior to the combustion engine and the automobiles take off. And all of a sudden, wait a minute, this byproduct, after we make kerosene and this and this and this and this and this, at that time, we can use that byproduct and sell it as gasoline, something that we were throwing away. And we make profit on something that was literally being dumped into rivers, right? Or dumped into the ground as waste. Now, if they are using gasoline, I would bet that it's probably in the high 99% or 98 percentile of, crude oil. And once it's broken down, what it's being used in and utilized, there's very little, I would guess, very little waste.
I would agree.
And I'm not a chemical engineer. I'm not anything but a guy that works with numbers and spreadsheets.
I'm electrical, not mechanical. So.
Right. So we'd have to get a guest on that is a chemical engineer.
Yes.
To actually explain that. But my guess is that in the average person, All I know is that when they go to the gas pump and it's costing them $4 or $4.25, I think gas is now down to like $4.11 here.
It's 370-ish here.
Yeah. Plus, we're using up our reserves. And all this can be fixed by a stroke of a pen, the same way that it was taken away. Yeah, pause is a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and because the cost of the other products of said crude oil, has gone up because of supply and demand, that is compounding the inflation.
Yeah.
It's just like you said, it's used in so many places all over,
And you know what else it's used for? To generate power.
Oh,
what's power needed for? To charge your electric car.
You want to go on that tangent? Okay.
I'm just saying, right?
Hey, guess what is a net zero carbon emitting power source?
I think I know the answer to this one, and I'm going to say it's nuclear.
Bingo.
And you have extremists that have certain people's ears, and they're shutting them down. Michigan at one time, I can't remember how many we had. I think we're down to 1 or 2 left.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's a huge mistake. That's part of the reason some of the stuff, I don't want to get over into the economics and the world political situation that's going on over in Europe right now. But that's their big concern, is that something is going to happen if something happens to their nuclear facilities to generate power, then they're really in trouble. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Let alone they're going to have problems with heating fuel and heating oil and all that kind of stuff. No different than here. Yes, work on alternative energies, but what percentage is being generated by solar and wind for energy consumption right now, or it's produced, it's utilized? So less than 10%, something like that. So they say, well, you build more windmill farms and you build more solar fields. Okay, where are you going to get the products from that? Some of those products are, I believe, manufactured from oil byproducts, are they not?
They are made from plastics. They
Okay.
are made from gold. They are made from silver.
Yeah.
They are made from platinum and palladium, I would make the argument. They are made out of the base metals, your coppers, your aluminums, your iron.
Okay.
And even those, I mean, I haven't been tracking it, but my engineering sense tells me that even those commodities are probably slightly up than they are typically.
Okay. So the United States.
And then, wait, you haven't
Go
stopped
ahead.
yet. Then
Okay.
you got to take the energy to convert all this stuff into the parts and pieces you need to build said solar panel or blade of a turbine.
Yep.
And what about the motor on that turbine? What is that? Lots and lots of windings of copper around a ferrite core with other magnets around there. So as it rotates, it creates an electrical current. Okay.
Yep.
So now we're talking about magnets. We're talking about copper wiring. Then you got to build the infrastructure to get the power from either the solar cells or the wind farms out to the electric grid. Okay.
And you got to transport these huge things. You got to
transport this stuff, right?
Yep.
The solar panels made in, say, Arizona, for example, but I got to get it to New Hampshire. How are you going to get it there?
No, and in the case of windmills, you need crane operators, right? You need all kinds of stuff to do that.
Yeah.
Now we could do what China is doing. Now remember, we're a small country. Don't get me wrong. The United States has got a lot of influences and a lot of different things, but our carbon footprint They keep saying we generate 75% or whatever. I find that almost impossible from my travels around the world. China is building nuclear, but until they get those things up and running, they're the largest consumer of coal.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you from experience, firsthand experience, that the smog and the pollution is like what it was here back in the 60s and 70s. Right? It's so thick it coats your cars, it covers everything, you know. So I don't know where I was leading with that, other than
it's going to take a lot of fossil fuels to make green energy get off the ground to the point where it is replacing fossil fuel / nuclear power 1 volt for 1 volt.
I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime.
No, it's not.
Although they are making great strides in improving stuff, and I know that they're getting very efficient with some of the solar stuff on a residential level. Particularly Elon Musk's battery power system that he's got, the solar system, the solar power for home use. So I'm not saying that they're not making great strides and that they shouldn't. They should. I think that they should look for alternative methods because there is a finite amount of oil. Depending on which report you say, you know, everybody says, well, we're going to run. I remember back in the 70s, we're going to run out of oil by, you know, before the year 2000. But we were also supposed to have another ice age by now from what they taught us back in school in the 70s.
Yeah.
Mother Nature does what Mother Nature does. I think that is the climate changing? Yeah. Because that's what the climate does. That's what the earth does. It's gone through these cycles. Before the Industrial Revolution, we've gone through more extremes than what we've gone through right now. Right? We had the little ice age. We had the big ice age.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then it warmed up. And then we had the little ice age. Well, there was humans on Earth then, right? Mm-hmm. But the whole thing makes my head hurt.
Let me just wrap it up with this. Let's go back to high school biology. I guess it would be under biology. Okay, tree, for example, for it to grow, it needs a couple of things, right? It takes nutrients and water out of the soil, right?
Yes.
To grow.
Yep.
And it also needs what? It needs
carbon
sunlight.
To
create
sunlight
through photosynthesis.
Right.
As part of the growing process, you know, to make the materials it needs so it can grow bigger and bigger and make leaves and make more branches and all that stuff. But what's the other element it also needs? Maybe
it needs carbon dioxide.
It needs carbon dioxide, folks.
Correct.
And if you are worried about carbon and carbon dioxide in our planet, in our world, go plant a tree. And if you're really, really worried about it, go plant 2.
Thanks for dialing in the Green Room Talk Podcast. Your host,